can control, things we can control, and things we cannot control. If it's quality, what is expected of us to produce quality? What is expected of us to be on time? What is expected of us to just stick with what is expected of us? So, what we can control again is our thoughts. If for instance, I came to work I'm expected to be at 8, I came at 9, I came at 9:30 with no explanation. Do we put it under things we cannot control, or it's things we can control? There are things we can control. So there is always a balance. There's always how we can always strike this balance, ladies and gentlemen. So there are things we can control as a person. If I'm expected to be at 9, I come at 10. So hapo mimi ndio nimechoma kidogo. So there are things we can control. So kuna zile a good example, exemptions. But again it goes back to you've already communicated. You tuseme ndudi nimekuangusha. Ama jambo imetokea. You've communicated to your boss, maybe your boss is umemwambia amechelewa. So are you going to control how she's going to react to that? No. So let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you need to always draw a circle of control in all circumstances. I think we will find ourselves personalizing everything and putting our thoughts in a very rational point. So if we can know things we can control, and it's reaction can be behavior, it can be thoughts, it can be feelings. I'm choosing to feel sad because of this thought. I'm choosing not to come to work because of this. But I cannot control my boss' reaction. I cannot control taxes in Kenya. I cannot control, and all those things, you know them. You cannot control. So anytime anything happens, just draw this in your life. Just draw it in your mind. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? No, put it outside. Usibebe huko ndani. Ukibebe huko ndani, the mind is funny. And I say, kwa siku unafikiria 65,000 thoughts negative. So if you don't, kama separate haraka, you will keep thinking negative, and then you become very hurt, and then you become an empty shell. So you will keep walking, not happy, you're always gloomy, you're always moody, you're very irritable, and those are signs of a depressed person. So you need to always, anytime, draw this circle of control. When you draw this, it puts you on acceptance, haraka. And then if it's your moods or thoughts, then you start dealing with them. Because our irrational thoughts affect our emotions, and it affects our behavior. Because if I'm feeling neglected, if I'm not feeling hard as an employee of affects, najaribu kusema hivi sisikiwi, what does that make you feel? Hausikiwi. So it makes you feel, you feel resentment. So the moment you start feeling resentment, it starts affecting your behavior. Somebody will tell you, please help me do this. You'll be like, who am I after all? So why am I supposed to do this? So inakuanga inajitai. Please, just do circle of control. I'm not saying circumstances are going to end today or tomorrow. I'm just saying, can we learn to cope when issues rise in our life? Either it's pain, either it's hurt, either it's whatever that can happen in our life. So thank you for sharing. So there's acceptance. What else how do you manage stress? Yes, exercise. Walk. Exercise. Exercise, watching movies, music, alarms, You know, mind, if it does not process something, inakanga like, mind, thank you for the signal. Mind, when it's not processed, inakanga like a ball. So when you name it, you loosen its power. So when you talk about it, reduce, less power. So exercise, a nice one. When you exercise, like I said, system haipendi confusion. When you exercise, sijawahi ona mtu mwenye ana exercise. For instance, unaamsha chuma and start feeling the thoughts of maybe of heart. When you exercise, you release something called dopamine in your brain. That's why mtu ametoka zoezi anakuwa na furaha sana. Ama umetoka kukimbia. Let me tell you, when you run, those who run, when you run, you realize you can't think of something else. Unakwamba tu, unakimbia. Because when you run, you release dopamine. And music, also music, it rewires the brain. It rewires. That's why when you listen to music, and when you listen to music, most times we listen to music that resonates with us at that time. Kama ni unasikia kushukuru, you are feeling grateful, your heart is elated, unapata you look for music that aligns with that. So music helps, it relates to our brain and it rewires. Prayer and meditation, it puts us again from a point of, it rewires again the brain from a point of relaxation. So when you relax again, the same rewiring takes place. I have so much information in my brain, but I want to make sure I summarize. So this is oxytocin, dopamine, and this is serotonin, and this is endorphin, those. So all these are released when you do all these activities. Yeah, so that is the end of my slides and information when it comes to stress and stress management. But I want us to do one activity, then we call it a day. What is that we call a lot? Kama ya mtu. Kama ya mtu. So there's positive stress and negative stress. So this positive stress, what it does, ni kama hiyo ni mwambia ya pesa. Umepata pesa yenye unataka, yenye ulikuwa unadai, Afrika kufikia. Ama kama ni mpenzi mwenye ulikuwa unataka amekubali. Na kama ni mapenzi yenye imekubali but ina msuko alafu ikaingiana mambo ikakuwa sawa. So kuna positive stress na negative stress. So positive stress ni kama hiyo good things but they excite you. And because the brain is the same, either there's good things or bad things, reaction ni moja. Nikueleza about middle brain, sio? So reaction ni moja. When you are stressed happily, cortisol inakuwa mingi, inafanya usifikirie, inafanya usifanye hizo vitu zote. Memory inaenda chini, unaforget, how concentrate, unaniona but unioni, una fantasize uko hapa pale. No. So kuna positive, but pia kuna negative stress. Here when you're stressed, like loss. Anyone who has lost someone recently? Thank you. So loss, grief. The pain of grief is so aishandi. Unakaa hivi, then you remember it hurts again. So the same with loss or just any adversities tumepitia kwa maisha. Negative stress affects the same brain. So stress inaweza kuwa mbaya na nzuri. Na tunaona stress kama hapa, hii diagram, unaona kwa kazi, ukiwa na stress ndio inakukeep motivated. Why you come here kidogo kuchangamka motivation. But ikiwa mingi sana, ikiendelea kukua mingi, unaona normal stress inaongeza performance. But ikiendelea kuzidi, ikikuwa too much, ndio unaona watu kama mwenye hapo amesema amechoka. Kazi ni mingi sana. Sana, yani sana. So hapa tukiweka fatigue, tuweke sana. Because too much work, too much stress, people get fatigued. And then what people fatigued, unaanza kurun exhaustion. What happens to performance? inaanza kushuka. Watu wanakuwa laid back, hawajachangamka. The only thing that is keeping them wako tu pale kwa like a pendulum. Anything can make them topple over. So why this is important for you to understand that stress ni vizuri, but ukiona inaendelea kwa hivi utafika mahali ni burnout. And let me tell you guys, you should never allow yourself to reach there. Ufike burnout. You know burnout, you are exhausted, you are tired, your brain is not working, you are just an empty shell in life. So, and this is what I can explain further. This is what happens, eh? This is how burnout looks like. You are emotionally drained. You have difficulties, but these are just exactly what I was explaining. Ukikuwa na burnout, brain haipendi confusion. That's one thing wherever I go, I'll keep saying. What's the changanya brain? Once you are tired, you saw that curve, this curve, utaranya hapa, breakdown. Na hapo ukifika burnout, this is where you see people, they don't care. And it's a very sad point for you to be here. Anyway, part of that, msipoteze focus, kuna hapa. We identified one, lack of money. Pesa ni muhimu. There's one that you mentioned, workload. Kazi ni mingi, sio? That brings fatigue. Kitu kingine inaleta stress, toxic environment. Something else? Yeah, health related. Kitu kingine? Na vinginevyo, si ndivyo? There is so many things that can give us stress, guys. And when stress is too much, you run something called this burnout. You go to burnout. So, stress we had agreed it was sour, but pia ni mbaya. What are the signs that somebody is stressed? What are the signs that somebody is stressed? What are the signs? Sleeping a lot. Sleeping a lot, very important. It's either you sleep kidogo or you sleep a lot. It's either you sleep less or you sleep a lot. And sleep is very powerful, but that's another topic for another day. So when you're stressed, your sleeping patterns change. They change drastically. Unalala kuanzia asubuhi mpaka sijui saa ngapi, unalala masaa mawili umeamka. You're confusing the system. That's not how things are supposed to be. That means you're stressed. Another sign? Eating habits. Eating habits, my friends. Ulikuwa unakula chakula ngapi? Tatu tu. Imetosha. Sasa hivi unabomoa hata sasa. Na unasema ongeza. Chef hiyo ni kidogo. Sleeping comes first.
No, does it come in two ways? Lack of sleep and more sleep.
Yes, it comes in two ways. But sometimes you sleep a lot. There are people who we call it hypersomnia. You sleep a lot or insomnia. You don't just sleep. But it's like unakuwa on board. Utakuwa na balance. Yes. That's a total sign. In fact, that's a good example. When you go for an assessment for depression, that's the first thing you check, because sleep is powerful. Nimekuona mkuu, I'll make sure I keep it great. So lack of sleep, eating habits, they change. Something else? Yeah? Yes, use a lot of drugs, behavioral change. Nilikuwa nakunywa kagani haka kamoja. Kale kamoja tu ka barabara. Two for the road. Wewe sasa ni moji, unaweka And then ikifika masaa yake unaanza kuimba in heaven there is no fear. That's why you've not sent money to your family, you've not done what you wanted to do. Umeshaitisha na ukaitisha. Na wimbo ni mmoja. You're just drinking here because up there is no here. So that's a good example. Behavioral, you start using drugs. Something else? Memory loss, that's a powerful one. You lose concentration. The reason why I was giving you an idea about the brain is because that brain, ukikuwa stressed, frontal lobe haifanyi kazi. Haifanyi kazi kabisa. That's why you lose concentration. You are a chef, badala ya kumix vitunguu, sijui the way you guys do it with maridadi, usha mix vibaya. Now there is no munatengeneza something else. All this, you know, you guys, for instance, somebody has come to ask to give an order. Amekuuliza madam, nisaidie coffee na nini. Sasa wewe unaona hii ni masaa. I mean, any kind of response that is a bit mean. Si kupenda kwako. It's just an expression. Umejaa uko ndani, umejaa uchungu, umejaa hasira. So it has to come out. Yengine, it's we've said sleeping irritability. Asubuhi nyanja ya baada ya asubuhi bwana. Hizi salamu zako unaleta hapa ni za nini? Salamu zako za matakataka. Just those irritability. So you get very irritable. Na si kupenda kwako. It's just that you're filled up with pain, with anger, with hurt, with neglect. You're feeling rejected. No one is hearing you. Sometimes you don't want to talk to anyone. That's actually a good example. Isolation. That's one sign. And let me tell you, good people, it's why honor mtu. Isolation, in fact, is not something you can joke around. Anyone who has ever attempted suicide? Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Let me tell you guys, for those who have attempted suicide, for those who have thought about suicide, for those who at some point they reconsidered, it's a very sad point. Somebody had moved from this stress level increase, ikafika mahali, no one is listening, so they go into isolation. So isolation is something, let me tell you, by the time somebody attends, they always want to isolate them so that wapange mikakati yao vizuri. Alafu wakishapanga, wanatoka outside kwa very bubbly. And then the question after somebody has passed on, thankfully, haijawahi enda through for my three ladies. But what happens if somebody passes on, kila mtu anasema, but nilimwona akiwa na furaha. Si tulikuwa naye hapa tukicheka. Let me tell you. Inamaanisha alishamaliza phases zote, akafika implementation. And isolation is one of them, guys. Isolation, you see somebody who is very active, and then they move, unaona tu siku hizi hawaongei ati, sitakangi maneno mingi siku hizi. But we know you to be very vibrant. So there's change that is drastic, and they love isolation. So wakishatoka hapo, they go into isolation. In that isolation, wanaanza kuona, nikitumia bunduki itaenda through, nikitumia sumu itaenda through, nikiamka what happens? Because of pain. Pain that is not resolved. They feel that's the way out. But one sign is they go into isolation. Tuko pamoja? Aya, kwa physical, unakuwa tu na ma-X kwa magoti, unakuwa na magonjwa, wewe kijana mdogo, unaanza kuwa na magonjwa ya mtoto mdogo hata hajakona kitovu. Stress, we had agreed stress is an energy. It has to come out, and it will come out in a physical way. So when it comes out, unakuwa na headaches zenye haziishi. Kumbe you're just stressed. You need to talk to someone. You need someone to hug you. When was the last time you hugged?
People are hugging trees.
Also that one is nice. It's powerful. So, X, when you hug somebody, you release something called oxytocin. That's why when you make love or you hug somebody, it feels so good. But when you're stressed, oxytocin lowers. And when it lowers, you lose sex drive. For men, Jonah, in art of funny, art of human, it's not working. For women, low libido. At your, you know nowadays, there's nothing like nowadays. Can you sort out that stress? So, you experience frequent calls. It's just stress that needs to come out. And it will come out in one way or another. Then behavioral, you say sleeping, eating, neglecting responsibility. You are a father or you are a partner. The responsibility that you have bestowed upon, you no longer take them seriously because you don't care. I say you are empty inside because of stress. Tumeongelea mambo ya pombe and other drugs, nervous habits like nail biting. This is being just anxious. Uko tu hapa. Memory problems. I explained the brain doesn't like confusion. If you're stressed, the frontal lobe will panic. Concentration, you're always worried. Worried about now, worried about future. You're uko tu na wasiwasi. And even about the future. What does that do to you? It brings more hurt and anxiety. Remember how you said you feel? Even though I feel maybe sad or anxious, I accept myself the way I am. So we're gonna run it so fast. Try run haraka so that we can move to the next one. So we're gonna run it a bit faster. So guys, I know this is new concept, but I'm encouraging you to do it, all of us. Please loosen up, kidogo. Just loosen up. Just loosen up. Don't worry. It's okay. No, it's okay. Just loosen up, kidogo. So once you loosen up, how you felt? Karibu sana. Karibu sana. So we are talking about EFT, emotional freedom technique. How are you feeling today? Good. Perfect. How are you feeling? Very fine. Very nice. How are you feeling? Iko tu hapo. Kuna mwenye ameingia sasa sijamuuliza. Okay. Hey my sister, I've seen you. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Let's see it. Kiboeka pia unasema. How are you feeling? God. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. God, sad, depressed. So we realize all these feelings, guys, are valid. And I want us to run just a few seconds. We just deal with those emotions. We loosen up, we release the tension, and then after that, we proceed with, my slides are very kidogo, so msijali hapo mbele. Cha muhimu impact. So this is how we're gonna do. Even though I'm feeling, then put the feeling. So can I use depressed? Even though I'm feeling sad, let me use sad because all of us here seems to be very sad. But to find out why together. And whatever we talk here remains here. Is it okay? Whatever we discuss here remains here. Aiezi mweka. Itatoka. Remember we work 8 hours. So if we don't trust each other, then that's where the challenge starts. Tutakuwa tunaogopana. Anyway, that's another topic. on releasing the tension. Imbo kikopa katikati, mko sawa? Mko sawa? Are we ready? Mko best? Okay, so we're gonna do this. Even though I'm feeling sad, I accept myself the way I am. So we do the tapping. Guys, we do the tapping. Even though I'm feeling sad, you say those words. Even though I'm feeling sad, I accept myself the way I am. We move on to these eyebrows. So you can tap as much as possible. Even though I'm feeling depressed, I accept myself the way I am. We move to the next to the eye. Even though I'm feeling stressed, I accept myself the way I am. Below the eyes, even though I'm feeling stressed, I let it go. Below the nose, even though I'm feeling overwhelmed, I accept myself the way I am. At the collarbone, below the mouth, at the chin, even though I'm feeling overwhelmed, I allow it to, I'm letting it go. Even though I feel hatred, I forgive myself. At the collarbone. Below the armpits, at the tender parts. Even though it's stressful, I accept myself the way I am. Thank you so much. You can do this as much as possible. I know it's new, guys, it's new, but this is what we do in therapy. As many times as possible. Life can serve you, and munakubali, life can serve us differently. But what do? To drain pamoja, and we have bills to pay, we have babies to look up to, we have partners, we have ourselves to live up to. So the reasons of that part, why we did what we did, it starts from affirmation. It starts from us. You know, hurt people hurt people. Unakubaliana na hiyo? If you are empty inside, you're gonna hurt someone else. But if you love yourself, if you have so much love, that's what you share to the world. So, fast forward, this is what happens, We are done with the introduction. So what are the signs that someone is struggling? How do you know? But before we come to the signs, why are we stressed? Why are we sad? the right? Eh? Hujamwambia? Okay. Neighbor amesemaje? Ako stress. Okay. Hii mboga yako katikati. Neighbor amesemaje? Sema tu ukweli. So I'm stressed. So ameleta point nyingine. Relationship. Neighbor amesemaje? Degree yake ya kuwa stress ikoje? Katikati. Okay. Neighbor amesemaje? Ako stress. Okay. Na amesema ako stress mbaya. So guys, stress ni mzuri. Stress ni mzuri. Ni mbaya. Okay. So, stress iko na mara mbili. There is positive stress, and when I'm saying stress iko mara mbili, kuna positive. So you cannot confuse this thing. Once the main thing, if this one triggers you, it's really free to say. Emotionally, it originates from here. So when the amygdala is triggered, at looking at me, maybe I'm triggering you. Maybe I look exactly like somebody. So if the midbrain is exactly, it picks responses, the hindbrain stores memories. If right now we do inner work is therapy, go back to your story. If you start going back to your story right now, you realize you can tell me so much about what happened. Either good or bad, because the hindbrain stores it. And then we have the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is mahali thinking, reasoning, concentration takes place. So the frontal lobe ni hapa mbele. So what you're feeling, guys, is valid, and it starts here, and it picks from the responses. Maybe your boss talked to you not in a good way. Or maybe it's your colleagues. Or it's something within work. Ama ni nyumbani. You told your kid to do something and they didn't respond. Ama you told your partner this and this, have to respond. Just those circumstances. We are all human beings. So if that happens, unaona, it gets stored here. The amygdala picks responses. So because all feelings are valid, and this technique, it helps us to tap on the 9 parts. Now back to our technique. Tuna tap parts, 9 parts. The first part is hapa. Okay? I'll carry you through, but this is the first part. All parts we are tapping are connected to the amygdala. It's the median part. All systems are connected. So when we tap here, or we tap here, the other part is okay. itaisha. I just want us to know how to manage and cope with our normal circumstances so that it lowers, so that we can think. When you're stressed, when the amygdala is active, that's why you can get angry. Naweza kuja nikakutusi sahi, and baadaye I'll be like, why did I do that? Because the amygdala for more response. So this technique of tapping inatusaidia sana kulower tension. So there's this part one, we tap here. We tap here. You can choose, be comfortable, either you want to tap with all parts of your fingers or you want to tap with just 2 fingers. Both sides is fine, here or here. Second part is here, next mwisho ya hii eyebrow. You can tap with one side or you can tap with both fingers, each more comfortable. Okay? And then there is part 2. So the third part is next to here. When you tap this part, it helps you again, it's connected. So this is part 3. Then the third part, the fourth part, we have a chini ya. Unaona hii part, there is some sort of chipboard. So it's either you tap with your 2 hands or you tap with one, that's okay. So there's this. And then there's below the nose. And then there's this. And then there's collarbone. Unajua collarbone ni kwa? Hapo kwa collarbone. So all these parts are connected. And then the last part is below your armpit. There's some tenderness. You can feel some tender huko. I get it. It's new, so I can't really. So you'll be surprised how research does it. And I want, while we are saying this, while we are tapping these 9 parts, it's like we are saying, I notice it's okay that I'm feeling this way. I'm forgetting these powerful words. That I'm feeling stressed. For instance, we've noticed that all of us have a dream. It's either we are feeling sad. Majority of the population seated here are feeling depressed, sad, and are feeling just those part of the sad part. So we will go to the next stage of finding what exactly is making you feel that way. Are you ready? Yeah. So we will move on. I've just forgotten those words. I wish they would just come right now. Despite how you feel right now, it's important you know that your feelings are valid. Naweza angalia mwakenya. Kidogo. I totally forget, and that's the challenge. We say the frontal lobe, its importance also, it helps with memory. So that tells you my brain is foggy. And that's why most times I do a lot of runs in the morning. As I explained, this emotional freedom technique, it got 9 tapping points. You know, in China, when you look at the history of China, kitambo, ilikuwa ni more when you're sick. There's just some techniques. They never used to give you medication. They just tap on your how our bodies are just amazing. And I love how our brain and the endocrine system and how kuna spinal cord hapa hivi. So this spinal cord has so many connections together with our brain. So when they are connected, there's something called meridian. The source is here. And brain, sorry, I didn't mention when I was giving you, nikiwaeleza venye hii system yetu ilivyo. So kando na brain kukuwa na 2 hemisphere, iko na mbele, iko na katikati, iko na huku nyuma. So how you're feeling right now amygdala, it's the midbrain. The midbrain is more active. And midbrain, it interprets threat or fight. So sahi kitu yote mtu akikugusa tu vibaya ama aseme tu kitu mbaya, si mnajua maneno nayo kaende. So guys, the brain is, you confuse system. Once purely for
Library 101.3. Stop hiding the bombs. Seriously, the topic is so over.
within these thoughts, you have 75,000 thoughts in a day. Yani kwa siku uko na mawazo 75,000. Hii maneno tukigeuza pesa sisi tunatoka blog. 75 thoughts guys, 75 thoughts, 75,000 thoughts in a day. If we say ukifikiria toka asubuhi umeamka toka step your mind every time. Surprisingly, these 75,000 thoughts, 60,000 are negative. 60,000 negative. Yani, kusikia kama unaweza piga mtu. And you see when you think about that, inamaanisha unafikiria the bad side. Like amefanya hivi. Now, the brain is fun guys. Ukiona tunaamka tu moja hivi, mtu amenifanyia vibaya, amenikosea, ameninini. So, negative thoughts have a tendency of building up. They build each other. So, ukifikiria amenifanyia hii, inakumbuka mwenzake, hata alifanya na hii akafanya na hii. So they keep working together, they keep pulling each other again and again. So 60,000 unaamka tu hivi ndo hizo. And again, within these 60,000, majority of them are repetitive. Unarudia tu kitu moja. When you ulivyofikiria, maybe you thought about something, hausikii kuja kazi, ama usikii kuja leo. So that's the same thing, we keep repeating again and again. That's the tendency. So the remaining 15, apart from 5, which are together with the repetitive, you realize equal to 5,000 is you have to nurture, you have to remind yourself every time to think about it, to think about being positive. So that's how our brain is. Let's go further. Now, the brain of a man and a woman is tofauti. Mwanamke Remember, our brain are divided into two hemispheres. I'm giving you this information. I'm giving you guys this information so that you understand how complex and how important this system is to you. So, for a verbal center, we have this verbal center and this verbal center. Maana ya sisi kuongea, wanawake kuongea haraka ni kwa sababu kichwa zetu ziko hivyo. And then our electro conduction zinaendanga hivi. Ndio maana tunaweza ongea tukipika, tunaweza ongea tukifanya hivi, tunaweza endelea kuvent tukifanya hivi. But men have only one verbal center. And this is the verbal center on the left hemisphere. So by the time a man comes to you, and that's why I'm very keen to mention men have a struggle to talk about issues they struggle with. And that's why when you go to clinical setups like Madari or those that deal with psychiatry, majority of them are men. When you look at the suicide case, the majama. What am I trying to say? Si makosa yenu that you have one verbal center, but we have to nurture that we have to keep talking. By the time these men here come to you or come to me as a counselor, wakwambia manze, hii story inaumana. Kwanza ameanza, najua Arsenal, sijui ile mambo ya Gachagua, sijui nini. They go round and round. And even by the time wanakwambia, lakini unajua kwa fiti. Hata hawatakwambia direct, wanakwambia, unajua ile maneno. Please, when these guys come to you, ladies, just listen. Watch our big around. Just be patient. They go watapiga wazunguke, but by the time they start opening, wana open up kidogo. So and then they test, are you listening or you want to judge? And then they move further, So for this verbal center, it's important you understand, and that's why when you look at my approach, it's more psycho-cognitive. I want to blend the brain and your mind. Whatever you do, whatever circumstances undergo, can be able to manage our own issues by engaging our body, and also because our body are connected with the mind, so that we have the feel-good hormones. So how are you feeling? Feeling ni moja tukisonga mbele. How are you feeling? You're feeling frustrated, you're feeling depressed, anxious, fearful, intense. So that was a test. So I'm happy that you are able to accommodate that. And also to let you know, my videographer is there, though with consent from you guys, he will only videograph my content. You will not be photographed unless you want to, but as it is, and then you're going to my talking. So, in case you need to be taken a photo, now that is your consent. So, there are a few things that I want to let you guys know. I want to know how you're feeling. It's not a rush thing, but I'll make sure I stick with the time and then repair and arrows. But also, I want to leave here, all of us having learned, having understood, and having gone to be a better person to how we came in. Like I initially said, you are aware of all this, so I'm not here to give you content and theories, but what are we